November's Art Club Live. Whilst it's sad that we can't be physically together in the back gallery or out somewhere else to create, we are excited to be able to be broadcasting from our studio on Ayres Road for the first time today. So we're not at home, we're in the studio. So today we are going to be getting creative with marbling. As you can see behind me, there's a whole array of different things that we have done. And the main aim for today is to get experimenting and finding out that actually items you might have in the cupboards at home, you can get creative with and create some beautiful artwork. So first up, I'll just remind you of the things that would be helpful to have if you're going to make along with us today. And also just a reminder, if we are live and if you're watching live, you have a question, pop it in the comments and we will try to answer it. So what you will need today to have a go with marbling is some water or milk or shaving foam. So you only need one of those. You can try with all three separately, but you only need one of those to have a go. Then you need either some cooking oil or washing up liquid. That will help to get things moving. And then you need some kind of paints. So they could be poster paint, watercolour, acrylic, food colouring even. We've got powder paint, spices, nail varnish. So even if you don't have any paints in your house, you might have some food colouring or spices. You can use those and still get a nice result. So along with those things, we need some paper. And I would suggest to cut up as many bits. You can try it small, so you can create lots of prints. And if you don't have any paper, another favourite of mine is using the backs of cereal packets. So it's cardboard, it's nice and matte, so that should absorb the paint, and it means you can still have a go even if you don't have paper. So you've got, get your paper ready, and then the last thing you will need is a tray. So we've got some plastic trays here, but you may use a baking tray. You can always cover it in tin foil if you want to make sure it stays clean, or even little plastic tub. Those ones you get from takeaways are quite handy. You can use those. And we've also got some metal trays here as well. So you've got your tray, you've got your paper. Make sure your paper fits inside the tray that you are using. So just make sure you've cut it to the size so you can see that that's going to print well. So you might want to get those things ready. And one last thing, in fact, that would be helpful to have would be some kind of paintbrush or stick, because you might use that to dollop some paint in, but also you're going to use the end to do a little bit of swirling around to make your marbling print. Now, like I said, we're trying to experiment here. So what I would again just say at the beginning is don't worry if it doesn't come out right at first. Just allow yourself to keep trying different things, keep working out. As you can see behind, we've got a whole range of different marbling effects that we've done using these items here that were all in our house. So I think let's begin. And I am going to begin with a really simple one, and that is just using water and oil. So I've got my water from the first category, oil from the second. And in your tray, you're just going to pour a little bit of water in so it covers. You don't want too much, but you need it to just make sure it covers the whole of that tray. So you've got your water in, and then you're simply going to add some little bits of oil. And you will notice it's like an experiment, and that's why we've called it experimenting with marbling, because it's all an experiment. And you can see it's formed little bubbles, and then you're going to just spread it out so you can see it in that tray. It's mixing. So this is the most simplest form of marbling. And we're just going to pop the paper on, let it soak in. You can already see the design coming up there, and whip it off. And the nice thing about the oil is actually when you have finished with it, when it's dry, you can put it on a window and it becomes transparent. The paper becomes transparent and you get your spotty design there. So I'm going to pop that down to dry. You might also just want to make sure you've got some space to put all your creations down, because you'll probably be going through a number of different ones. So we'll carry on with this one, and we're going to have a little look and see if we can add some paint into it. So I've just got some ready-made poster paint. It's not oil paint like some sort of tutorials say you need to use. Actually, any paint, as long as we can allow it to sit on the surface, it should work. I'm going to add some neon in as well. I'm just going to squidge it on. And like I say, it's all about experimenting with it. So if it doesn't work at first, don't worry. You can just try again. So now I'm going to move it around. And the aim is we're trying to keep it on the surface of the water. And as you can see, it's beginning to spread out. So it might take a little while to actually get some. And what I found when we were doing it, that we did a few, so I did it first, I allowed it all on, and this one I'll show you, so it's not going to be too dark when I do it first. It's probably going to be quite light paint, but that's not to worry. We take it off, you can see it's quite painty. We just leave it then to dry, and we can try again with adding some more paints into it. So depending on the design that you want to do, you might want to stick with the same colours, or you might want to use some different colours. Now that one I may come back to later on and see if I can add another layer on. So I'm going to add a little bit. I've got some acrylic paint here that I'm going to allow just to spread out in here. And we're just allowing that pigment to go. You can see the water getting darker there, so we'll have that at that end. That will go in. And I might even choose to add a little bit more oil in as well. If you're finding it's getting too messy, that's just the point that you want to start and clear it out and start again. So so you can see the black paint is getting, so we're going to have more of a darker background. And then we'll add a bit more yellow on this side. And allow it to spread in. And because we're using, so these are water-based paints, it's just allowing them to mix in with the colours. And we just move it around to get some different bubbles with that oil. And then we can try again. And it's all about trying different things. If it doesn't work at first, try again. So we're beginning to get some more marbly effects there. And let's see if we use a little bit more. And in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of spice in too. So this is another thing that you can add onto the top, which will pigment the water and will allow it, and just allow that to mix in. See the different shades that you've got going there. Let me see what other paper I've got. I can do a bigger one there. We do that, just let that rest on top, and then you can see that it's beginning there to get that things, and that's where you can start working some quite spacey ones there where you've got different patterns, and you can try with different amounts of oil on it, will make different ones. So I'm going to move that over. We can come back to the paint and water one again later. Just going to set that down there, and I will use another tray again. Now we are going to move on to trying one with milk. So what I'd say is, if you find you've got milk in your fridge that's a little bit out of date, you don't want to drink it, well actually why not make some art with it. So we're using milk in there. And this time, instead of oil, you can experiment with oil. We did do some, but we're going to use a little bit of washing up liquid. But first of all, we're going to add a little bit of paint. Let's see if I've got any left in this tube. That's it, get that paint out. And you can see already it's beginning to mix in with that water. And you can even try, so if you've got water, if you've got liquid watercolours, you can use those. But if you don't, I have been experimenting. If you've just got a palette of water, you can just make it really wet and watery, and you can begin to add that on top in your milk. So, and then we're just wanting to spread it out slightly, allowing you can see the different marbling designs appearing. And another nice thing you can do with your watercolours is to get your design on the top, is to just flip it a little bit there. It's a little bit noisy, but it's another thing. And just tiny little bit, you can see it reacting there. I mean, it looks beautiful just on here. You can see it reacting with the paint. And we're just going to stir it around to create our first print. Now, when you set it on, you just want it to rest just on the top of the water. So as you can see already, we've got that coming on, and then just wisp it off. And we've got a beautiful, delicate design there. So start off with the lighter colours, and then you can begin to add some more darker colours in, or whatever colours you're looking for. So you can keep on going, add a little bit more. Again, you're allowing it to mix in with that milk there, and you can spread it round. And in fact, what I'll show you as well is another thing we can do. So just allow it to spread. We'll go see if we can get a load of pink, because pink and black make a good colour. So our rain, so it's got a little bit, we want it to sit on the top of that surface there. So it's just allowing it to go there. And also, because we have got washing up liquid in here, if you jiggle it about a little bit, you can sometimes create some bubbles like that, which will make a bubbly pattern again. So we're just allowing these, spreading them out. And then finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of food colouring into this. Again, liquid food colouring, whatever you have in your, just drop it on the top. It all looks very messy on here, but once you've got it on your page, that's where we're building up the different ones. So we just allow that to swirl around. Get our paper, rest it on the top there, just allow it, make sure it's picking up everything. Now there's different types of paper you can use, so the more absorbent the paper is, the more it will pick up what's going on. Okay, so that's quite a delicate one there, but don't worry, when they dry, they can come out more, or you can add some more into it as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. Let's have a go, let's see if we can mix up a little bit of powder paint. Because again, we've been trying to think about all the paints that you might have in your house. So you might not have, actually you might not have tubes of acrylic paint or anything, but you may just have a little bit of powder paint, and just mixing that together, right like that. And then it's slowly allowing it to go on the top. And what I would just say is be prepared to get messy, and your workspace maybe even to get a little bit messy. And you can just see, and you can gently swirl that around, and I think we just need a little bit more pink to go in there. We'll swirl that around. And like I say, you just want to try with whatever paints you've got, just keep having a go with them and seeing what comes out well and what needs a little bit more work. And do that there. That's it. And we've got some interesting patterns going on there. And you can even decide, if you've got, you can even decide to add a little bit of oil in. You can see the colours changing. And what's nice as well with this is if actually you've had enough of one design, you can pour a little bit of water away, and then you can have a go again at another design on the same tray. Just that one there, and see. And it really is a trial and error. So I'm getting some quite different results to how we did the other day, but that's okay, because you just keep going. If the colour is not coming out strong enough, if the colour's not coming out strong enough, try adding a little bit more paint and letting it settle in the water. So you can take a little bit more time over it, letting it settle in that water till you see it. Now, we've used water, we've used milk. We are now going to use some shaving foam. So if you've got some shaving foam at home, or it doesn't need to be an expensive one, just pour that shaving foam into a tray. Now this is a really fun one and quite enjoyable for the process of it. So we'll move, in fact, let me just move a few of these off so we've got a bit more space here for our shaving foam. So once you've got, so you can see nice swirls on that one there coming through. And a night sky. So yes, if you want the background to be dark, you want to put a lot more paint in that. The important thing is to leave it flat to dry, and once it's dried, that's when you can see all the different shapes coming out. Okay, so once you've got your shaving foam on your tray, you just want to spread it out so it's nice and thin. Again, you don't need to do the whole tray. You can use smaller paper if you want for this. Now we'll do one with food colouring, then we'll try one with a little bit of watercolours, and we'll do that way, or paint. So I'm going to choose I've just got some tiny little pots of food colouring here. Let's just choose a couple of different ones. You can think about your colours, or just go with what colours you've got in your house. And again, just slowly add a few drops. You can think you can do it random, or you might want to try and create a picture. We'll do this one, we'll do random. So we're just going to add those. Allow them to soak in, and then this is when you need your stick. So we've got that in there. Now with the end of a paintbrush or your stick, you're just going to begin to slowly allow them to mix in with each other. So just keep swirling it around to make different patterns. Now, if you're not going for something specific, you can keep going again and again with one thing. So first of all, you press it down, just press it lightly, and you will see the design coming up on that paper the other side. Now when you take it off, it should look like this. Now do not be alarmed by that. We are going to use a bit of cardboard, so this might be where your cereal packet comes in handy. You're just going to put cardboard down and scrape it off And then you can see a really strong and swirly marbling pattern there. So that's where the background, you've not got the background dark, which you'll get with the paint, but you can get a really strong swirling pattern there. So again, you can choose to either flatten it again, or you might just want to see if you can create. I'm going to mix this in a little bit, see if we can create some more tighter different circles. So I'm doing lots and lots, and you can see all the detail of the colour mixing in with each other. That's it, so like that. And then get my bit of paper, pop it over the top there, like that, and then just whip it off. Again, looks a little bit scary, but with our card we do that, and you've got a really detailed, make sure you scrape off all that shaving foam, and then you've got a really nice and detailed marble pattern there. So you can see that there. So we'll have another little go with shaving foam. If you don't have food colouring but you do have shaving foam, we'll have a little go with just some paints so we can see how that works out as well. So again, same thing. Squeeze it out. Use a little bit of card just to spread it out, or a spatula just so it's flatter. And you don't need much shaving foam at all, you don't need to use it all up. You can just use what you have got. And then let's have a go. This might be the most we'll do, so we'll have a go. We're just going to allow some watercolours on top. Dab it on there with the brush. You could even try and paint a picture and print a picture if you want. Or let's get a little bit of contrast, so we'll add some yellow in. And in fact, we'll use a little bit of poster paint to add that. So once you've got it on there, it is the swirling. And this is, you can take a nice bit of time over it. We're just going to allow these to go. If you're thinking it's looking a little bit light, you can always add a little bit more paint on it again. So we're just going to go, in fact I'm just going to pour that off and in, and just get that going. So we've got a whole variety of paint there, and you're getting your different textures going in, and it might be that you want to take a few different prints off one piece, but we pop it on, just allow it. Oh, that moved a little bit. It's always a little bit, you don't know what's going to come up when you take it off, but that's where we experiment with it and see. So we're going to take that off, and then it's the moment of truth where we pull it back, and wow, you can see a beautiful, very kind of spacey, galaxy, swirly print there too. Now we'll move that off, and one other thing I will show you. So you may not have any paints at home, but you may have some nail varnish. And to do nail varnish, now just a word of warning with our nail varnish one is that it's quite strong smelling, so you want to make sure the window's open and that you've got an adult supervising you and knowing what you're doing as well. So first of all, I'm just going to make sure, I might need to just make that a little bit smaller, my bits of paper. I want to make sure it fits into my container. There we go, fits in there, so we can do two. You add just a little bit of water. In fact, I'm going to get some cardboard cereal packets as well, to show you just how you can use that too to create a design as well. Just check it fits in. And then with your nail varnish, now there's been different experiments done, and the newer the nail varnish, probably the better it is. If it's a little bit old, it might clump a little bit, but have a go and try. You want it to sit on the surface of the water, so very gently you're just going to allow it. It takes a little bit of time, allow it to drip out, and think about, that's it. So we just do a few swirls. You can see it go in there, and we will try 2 colours I think today. You can see it spreading out on the top there, so we just pour it in. Just wait, it's taking a little while, allow, that's it. And with a little brush we just might stir it around a little bit, so create some little loops, and then quick, we just pop it on like that, allow it in, all to get covered, and then we whip it off, and wow, I think it's even got some blue that I had left in there from last time, but you can see now I can smell the nail varnish, so again you just want to make sure a window is open, but you can create a really interesting and exciting design there. So we'll try one more just using a cereal packet. So all you need is water, nail varnish, and a cereal packet and a container to put it in. We'll just try once more. And you don't need expensive nail varnish either. This was cheap nail varnish. So maybe you bought a colour and decide you don't like it. You can reuse it. You don't need to throw it away. You can reuse it and turn it into some art. So again, I'm just very gently, if you pour it too fast, it can sink to the bottom. So that's it. So just gently, we'll just allow a little bits to come in. And then maybe we'll use a pink this time too. And we'll go, and that will pour, and then we just want to see if we can mix in the blue a little bit. You can see it resting on the top. Might just add a little bit more blue in between, just so we're getting the different colours. Now you can also, this nail varnish one can go onto wood, so if you've got a little bit of wood or something, you can use it on that, or it can, you can cover anything really, anything you can dip into the tray you can cover and see. So I'm just waiting for this last, let's see if we can, there we go. There we go. So the last little swirl round, pop it in just on that surface there, and then whip it off, and you can see an amazing little swirly pattern there. Now with all your prints and your marbling, you just want to make sure that it dries completely before you do something else again. So you just want to make sure that it dries really well before you have a go at something else. Now I wonder just try, I'm going to just pour a little bit of this water away. On my initial tray, you can see a lot of the paint has sunk to the bottom. So I'm just actually going to pour a little bit of the water away. So we've got a little bit less in, and we're going to try and mix it in together and then add a little bit more in to see. So this is where you want to keep mixing, and when we've had a go at home, nothing is wasted. If you're a bit disappointed with your first tries, don't panic. Keep going, keep trying again. We'll add a little bit more black in the bottom and see if we can create a bit of a night sky. So we'll allow that just to mix in with the water so we can get our darker print. Get that dark, so we just allow it to feed in, and you can see already you've got different bits mixing on the top, and I'm going to use a bit of spice here too, just to rest on the surface. So it's all about mixing things and allowing stuff to remain on the surface of your water. We're going to add the oil. The oil will give us, just allow it to spread out, some different gaps in our bit. And let me just try, don't mind that, on a different bit of paper. Really, you want to make sure it's the right size before you start, but just gently pop it on. You'll see it beginning to form. We're just wanting to make sure that we get some of that mixture on top of here. Allow it in. And there, look, we've got, yeah, some much more colour. So sometimes it just might wait a little bit longer for the paint because we're not using oil paint. If you've got oil paints, you can use oil paints. But it's quite tricky to hold up just because it's so wet and oily, but you might just see it from the overhead camera there, that you can see the different patterns and you're using different colours. Spices that are great with colours, something like smoked paprika or turmeric gives a beautiful yellow, and you can just keep adding a little bit on, keep it going. Let's see there. And you just want to keep popping stuff in and seeing what you can come up with. So over it there, and you can see it all moving around and different textures and everything there. So I think we've gone over enough different ways. Again, just remember, if it doesn't come out at first, like our range here, we've got some light ones, some dark ones. Just keep trying, adding some more paint in, swirling it around, and you'll even see when you're doing the tray, you're creating an artwork, even just in that tray there. Allow it to spread out, do your different things. So you can keep going, have fun, experiment, see what works for you, what you like. I'm just doing one final one. I like these this neon colour, so I'm just adding a little bit of that in, and maybe a little bit of pink in too. See, look, I've started now and I can't stop. I just want to keep going and making more, but we'll just keep that going. Last one, pop that on. See how that comes out. And then, yeah, you can see it's really, the page is beginning to get a lot darker, looking quite night sky there, all different ways and things. I'll move these down a little bit so you can see the variation and the variety that you can have. And again, just to say, once you've done one, this is one we did the other day, you might consider turning it into a card, and it could be a really nice card. If you do large paper, like this one, it could become gift wrap. You've got black swirls and orange bits there. The options really are endless with what you do. Just make sure you've got lots of space to add stuff down. And I've just remembered one final pointer. I will just bring you back to one of the first ones that we did. So first one here that we did, that was quite heavy with paint on there. Once you've done it, you can always work into it a little bit more on the surface to spread out those swirls and to just add a little bit more. And you've got those nice spots behind where the oil has been. But think about that you can work into these pieces and create something beautiful even more, and all from stuff that you have at home. So I'd like to say thank you for watching. Do share what you've got up to, share your pictures, tell us what worked for you, tell us if you found anything new that worked really well to create your prints, and we look forward to seeing what you have come up with. And we'll see you next time for another Art Club Live. Goodbye.